it's Kristen.
And it's Paula, and we are here at Effervescence in the French Quarter of New Orleans.
Yes. We are here with Miss Crystal Hinds. Thank you so much for having us today.
Oh, I'm thrilled to have y'all.
Well, we are actually here to talk about bubbles and all things bubbly for the new year. So how did Effervescence start?
Well, it was kind of like a dream that I talked about a lot with my kids. I was like, someone needs to open a place that's bubble focused in the French Quarter, that has small plates, that's very European in style. It's not like how many drinks, not 5-for-1 drinks, but the quality of drinks that you could sit and relax with your best friend and celebrate every day, not just special occasions. And I love bubbles, and there wasn't really anywhere that you could just, get a glass and taste a bunch of different bubbles like they have all over the world, like bubble lounges and bubble focused bars. So my kids challenged me when they grew up. They said, well, Mom, here's your chance. Why don't you follow your dream like you told us to? So I kind of had to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to take challenges.
Even if
for the
I
kids.
failed, I succeeded, right? Because
Exactly.
I did exactly what I told them to do. So watch what you say to your kids.
That's awesome.
So you've been here for how long?
It'll be 6 years in March.
Oh, nice.
We opened in 2017, and I did a historic tax renovation on this building that we're at right now, which was WWL's news and recording, sound and recording studio.
Okay.
And the parking garage was right back here, and they would record, go back to there, and come back. So they didn't need it anymore with all the digital material, so it was available, and I knew it would be beautiful because I live a block away in an 1890s house, so I knew the light would be gorgeous once it was fixed up.
Yeah. Well, it is a beautiful space. We are out here in the courtyard. We're probably making people jealous around the country because we had some cold weather last week, but now it's
Beautiful again.
60-something, so don't hate us too much.
Come visit.
Just come visit.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about bubbles. For me and for some of other folks, it's a little intimidating. We don't know what we're getting. We don't know how to open it.
Right. And I do this a lot with the Sparkling 101 classes at our big table. Our bachelorettes come in, and I'll do open 3 bottles, very similar to this, and explain what they are and how they're made. I usually start with the Prosecco, which I did not bring out today. Most people know about that. But that's made in the tank method or the Charmat method, where the bubbles are trapped in the tank, then filtered and fined and put in the bottle. There's not a lot of aging. You need to drink Prosecco pretty fast. It's in a couple of years. You don't want to save the bottle. If you get one for Christmas, don't save it 10 years. And then we'd move on to cavas and secs and all these things that are produced around the world, sparkling wine made in the traditional method, like champagne, which is the double bottle fermentation. First, they make the wine with the yeast. They either add the yeast or they use the yeast on the grapes. They press it. They make the wine. The bubbles escape, the CO2, and then the alcohol stays, which is what we want. Mm-hmm. And then if you want wine, there you go. You can age it in barrels if you want, or you can drink it just like that. And then if you want to make really good bubbles, you put some more sugar and yeast and start it all over again, put it in another bottle and cap it, and then store it away on the lees, and it starts all over, but the bubbles get trapped in the bottle. Mm-hmm. And that's just a simple version of how to make sparkling wine in the traditional method or the champenois method. The champenois, I like us to say traditional, unless we're talking about champagne, which is made only in Champagne, France. That's the only thing you need to know to pass my classes here.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Well, we might pass.
Everything else is sparkling wine.
So I've been doing a little research on women in the alcohol industry, and my understanding is that the women of France really paved the way for the champagne of France.
Oh,
that it
yes.
was really them.
They were really the first women entrepreneurs. I mean, that's one reason I love Veuve Clicquot. I have her vintage 2012 bottle here, the Grande Dame. She was an inspiration to me as a businesswoman because women could not work. Back then, they were not allowed to do that, but she was a widow, and widows were allowed to work and carry on the family business, and that's how she started.
Right.
She had a small young child, and she convinced her father-in-law to let her continue to run the budding winery because they had a textile business as well, and he did. And her and the cellar master really changed, a lot of things done in Champagne. She invented the riddling rack from her kitchen table. a woman's ingenuity is boundless, right?
That's so cool.
So, but there's Lily Bollinger. There's plenty of other women, strong women in Champaign that paved the way. And even today, there's quite a lot of women in Champaign, more than ever.
So when we're drinking champagne, we need to thank women.
Yes, it's definitely something to celebrate for sure. Absolutely. And speaking of celebrations, New Year's Eve is coming up, and a lot of people drink bubbles for that.
They do.
What would be your kind of, if someone is new and wants to bring a nice bottle to maybe a party, or what would you recommend? Are there ones that are better for like a group, or?
There's a couple that I call crowd pleasers. If you want to go the champagne route, I didn't bring this bottle out, but the Taittinger, which is very readily available at any wine shop, it's a crowd pleaser. It's just perfectly balanced. Almost everybody likes it. It's not too dry. It's not too sweet. It's made in the traditional method. It's an old family house. It has never failed to please anyone I've ever given it to. So that's and it's not crazy priced. It's a blend of all three grapes. It's just really beautiful. It's a brut, which is what most people drink. That's 6 to 12 grams of sugar. That's what most Americans drink almost all the time. We do have a few others if you want to go a little sweeter, but that one would please everybody. It's not on the drier end of that. It's kind of in the middle.
It's not at the super high end.
No,
of the
it's not.
expense.
It should. I mean, depending on where you get it from here, it's probably $85 in a restaurant, but you could probably get it maybe $45. Right
wine
around
shop.
50, right under 50. The wine shop. If you get a sale, maybe better. But yeah, that's a really good choice for a nice champagne that everyone would love.
Nice.
So, and I generally ask this question of everyone: is there a huge difference in quality? Obviously, not everyone can afford a $500 bottle of champagne. So, what's sort of the range? Like, tell us the differences if you can. I know that's really general, but just sort of, what am I going to get for $30 to $50 versus $400?
Well, when you get up to $400, you're usually talking more about the vintage champagnes, which it doesn't necessarily mean they're better,
right?
But they're aged longer. If you like that kind of taste, it's expressed 1 year. Vintage is the wine. The grapes are coming just from that year, and they're trying to express that year in a wine. So that's kind of interesting. But if it's not your style, you might prefer their entry level. I find the entry level wines, especially champagnes, they're the calling card. That's what everybody knows. So you can't usually go wrong with the entry level. If you want something different and special, and you're into a certain champagne house and you want to taste just Chardonnay, maybe a Blanc de Blanc or Blanc de Noir, or some special cuvee, Paul Roger, Winston Churchill, that was made specifically for him and named after him. It's more expensive. It's a special blend that they made just for him. It's a vintage year. Sometimes it's only made in the best years, all these vintage champagnes. So they're a real treat if you're really into bubbles and you can taste those differences. If you're just at the very beginning, you might not taste the difference. It might even be something you don't like because it's just different than what you're used to drinking. So I think you just have to, take where you're at and then go with it. And it doesn't even have to be champagne. It could be a great sparkling
there are
wine.
sparkling wines.
Yeah.
So the champagnes are only made in Champagne, France, the Champagne region of France.
Correct.
And so they're very exclusive.
Right.
And
there's lots of rules.
Therefore
around
expensive.
It. Right.
Or more expensive,
They
say,
have to
than...
be aged for so long. They can only pick it starting on a certain date. They can only pick so many per hectare. There's all kinds of rules about vinification and storage. And so, of course, it makes it more pricey. And, the land is a finite, area.
Correct, yeah.
So, of course, that's going to be more expensive if it's actually a true champagne. But there are some great options that you probably might not even be able to tell the difference. They're just so well made,
So those would be sparkling wines.
Sparkling wines.
And do they make them pretty much around the world?
They do. They're called different things. Like I mentioned in the beginning, Sekt, S-E-K-T, would be Austria or Germany. We have some here that are fantastic. One of the new things that I love is the British bubbles.
Ah.
Yeah, they're not really have a set name. Most people call them British bubbles, but they're made in exactly the same way as champagne. Double fermentation, and with climate change and global warming, they are becoming very popular. Matter of fact, I think Taittinger and some of the other champagne houses are buying land around Kent now because it's getting so warm, even in Champagne. So they're getting a little nervous. So, and I visited one right before COVID, and the buds, and it was Gusborne, which is one we carry that I love. It's probably my favorite one. And the Gusborne's buds were exactly the same as the next day I went out to Champagne, France. They were the same, the buds.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, the soil, the bed of the limestone is pretty much the same. And so it was just more of a climate thing. So they're making fantastic bubbles.
And that's in around Kent.
Around Kent, yes. In
So I was in England
But
this
there's
past
quite
year.
a few. I did a flight a while back. The British are coming, and people loved it. The problem is getting enough to keep it going in New Orleans, to get enough of that in, especially now. But I'm hoping in the spring to do it again. It's really fun. They
That
have
sounds
some-
fun.
Yeah, that
it's
sounds really fun.
That's fun. So we are used to, we drink cava occasionally.
Love cava.
So that's Spanish.
Yes. But it is made in the traditional method, the 2-bottle fermentation. They use different grapes, Xarello, Macabeo, and Parlata, and we have one here actually.
Ooh.
But Cava's going through a lot of changes recently. Their designation of Cava, there's certain growers that want to break away because they think that the standards are too low for what they do. So they started something new called Corpignet. Have you heard of the Corpignet yet? So
No.
it's fairly new. And some of them broke away that's got higher standards. And this particular one, this is Raventos. This house goes way, way back. They're one of the original Cava makers. They don't even want to be called Corpignet or Cava. They have on their bottle what they want to be called, the Concha del Rio Anoya, and that's a specific place they're from.
Oh.
And this is my favorite Cava. This one is a rosé. They have the regular one, and then they have this rosé. So it's Raventos y Blanc Concha del Rio Anoya de Net. So it's all 3 grapes, but they add 5% Monastrell still red wine. And it's this beautiful, creamy limestone backbone on it. Not sweet at all, really dry cava. It's fabulous. You'll see this in Michelin star restaurants.
So
It's
now the difference
really nice.
between a rosé cava or the white cava is the addition of the red
wine. Well, there's 2 ways
Or
to
red
make
grapes,
rosés.
yeah.
This particular one, they add distilled red wine. You can also soak it on the skins because some of the grapes are red and
Okay.
some are white, even in Champagne. When they gently press the red grapes, the juice is white. So
Right.
2 of the 3 main grapes are red in Champagne, the Pinot Noir and the Pinot Meunier. But a lot of people don't know that. They're like, what? It's red grapes, but the wine's white. It's because they're just lightly pressing it. And so the juice, the first run juice, is clear,
Yeah.
or golden. So the other way to make the rosé is to soak it on the skins, the Saunier method.
And so then what will happen is the
coloring.
color will
Yeah.
go into the juice.
All about
Yeah.
the skins.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Or
and a
the
little
wine.
bit of tannin sometimes, so
Right.
it's really fun to see how they play around with all those flavors.
So how should we be storing our bubbles? Like if we get a bottle and we're gonna, let's say, take it to our New Year's Eve party, how should I chill it? How should I keep it?
It's fine if you want to chill it in the refrigerator for a couple of hours. I wouldn't leave it in there for forever. It's not the best thing, but I mean unless it's a wine fridge. But
Right. And what temperature should my wine fridge be at?
it should be
Ideally.
around 37
Okay.
to 40. Really, when you take it out, it's better when the wine. Really good champagne is better when you let it warm up for a few minutes. But the main thing is not to just have it go through temperature changes. Like even room temperature is okay if your house is not too hot. It's just the big changes when you go through these. Like the electricity cuts off and it's super hot, 102 degrees from, really cool in there
Yeah.
Right.
in the summertime. That's when the wine doesn't like the bubbles don't like those big temperature changes. But strangely enough, they can take a lot more than you think. They really can. But you have to watch the corks because sometimes, if they get chilled too fast or too quickly, the corks can pop, or the pressure if you're bouncing around in your car going to someone's house. So really watch those corks. They can shoot out with a lot of pressure, and they can hurt your eye or your face or somebody.
Yeah. Well,
so do be cognizant. if you're
she's
traveling.
very good at it, but I'm still.
Well, I worked in restaurants a very long time, so we were taught
Yes.
the proper way to do it and the safe way to do it. Because obviously you don't want to be pouring expensive champagne in the laps of your guests.
Right.
So-
You don't want to waste it.
you don't want to waste it too. I would always feel bad about that. So.
For
But yeah, but it definitely can be a little intimidating. So.
Right. So this cava is what we would consider reasonable as far as a price point.
Yeah, at
that
our restaurant it goes
affordable.
for $64, which means retail, probably 25, 30, something 20 in the 20s, probably depending on where you live and where you get it from.
Nice.
Right.
Maybe 30, but which I think is great for a really fantastic
Absolutely.
bottle that you would find in a Michelin star restaurant. A great bottle of cava, probably one of the best. And then there's some some other nice cavas under that as well. So if that's even too much.
So and then there's Italian sparkling.
All kinds of Italian sparkling. The Francia Corta. There's Spumante, which doesn't mean sweet. It's
Right.
just
I think everybody goes, oh yeah,
I
know
know.
that
That
one.
was
Yeah.
a big shock to me too when I first learned that. But Francia Corta is made just like champagne, and the price point shows that they can be just as expensive as champagne. Some of them. Sometimes you can find a Francia Corta for a little bit less. It's the same exact process, So in the aging, and when all that hand work goes into it, it costs money. And aging in the cellar takes up space, so that costs money too. So but
Well, and they, for champagne or sparkling, it's a year?
no,
or
it's 15 months, 12
Okay.
of which has to be aged under cork.
Okay.
Okay.
So at least 15
Most
months.
of them do 3 years. Most of the big houses do 3 years.
Yeah, so that's a long time.
Yeah,
For
that's
a
just for the
cellar.
non-vintage.
Right.
So, but the rules allow for less. Yeah.
So, and we lived in Germany, so we know sect.
Yes, we
Oh
do.
yeah, I love that. The Peter Lauer is one of our favorites. If you like that, Riesling, it's a dry bubble.
Yes. Well, and that was she's getting to like Rieslings.
Yeah, Riesling in the beginning, because when people showed it to me, it was this very sweet,
Yes.
syrupy thing. And then we went back to Germany because I lived there as a kid, so obviously I couldn't drink.
Yeah.
And so we went back, and I tried some amazing sect. I was like, oh my gosh!
This
And
is-
like Rieslings, I was like, wow, this is
I
not
think most
what I
people would be
think.
shocked
Yeah.
because the first time you taste a Riesling, it's usually more on the sweeter side.
Yeah.
But,
And it's usually a dessert. I
Yeah.
mean, when I've had it paired with things like
Yeah.
meals, it's
It's
dessert. So
Yeah, we have some on the drier side that are not. They still go really well with dessert, though.
Yeah.
Like just something about them has that fruit that, it's really nice. But we have to taste some bubbles.
oh,
right?
we should.
Let's
We
do it.
should.
So we're going to show you a champagne now because, of course, we're getting close to New Year's Eve. This is the Billicot Semon Brut Reserve. So this is their entry level, which I'm sure a lot of people know this house from Billicot Semon Rosé. Makes one of the most popular rosé champagnes. If you love a good rosé, go for the rosé.
Okay.
It's a crowd pleaser as well. It's a little pricey. So I'm just going to go over a little bit
Please.
of how I open a bottle.
Yeah,
You can correct
absolutely.
me if it's different from you.
No, it's
If
perfect.
you notice, I always put my thumb on the top, and that is just to make sure if it's been bounced around that doesn't shoot off and hit my co-host here, or my host here, or me, or break one of my pretty little glass bulbs up there. So you put your finger on that, and you'll see there's a tab. It's usually got a black mark or little X's on it. That's the tab that you take the foil off with. So you just peel that around. So it's pretty simple. You can even switch hands if you want. Making sure to always point the cork away from people.
And
then
yourself.
yeah, and myself. And then you just look for the little tab on the cage. You flip it down, and it's 6 half turns to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's easy as pie.
Yeah.
You don't have to use a cloth, but I like to.
I
Just
do.
put this over the top. Then you twist the bottle, not the cage. We like to pop at Effervescence. The sommeliers say the bottle's supposed to sigh, but we're celebrating every day here.
I like
so
a pop.
I like
we
a
like
pop.
to pop too. So always make it pop. So of course, then after you open it, someone has to taste. Usually the guest of honor, and they just pour a little bit in your glass so you can taste. Because sometimes with the natural cork, the bottle, ooh, it's breezy. Sorry, I'll pick that up
Oh.
later. Just to make sure that the wine is not corked. And when it gets corked, it'll smell like a wet dog. You can smell it right on the nose. They're not asking you to taste to see if you like the wine. Basically, if you bought the bottle, it's pretty much yours.
Yeah.
Well, I've wondered that if you know.
I mean, some people try to push that, but here everything's so good they don't. But I've seen people do that.
So I want it to not smell like wet dog.
Yeah, if it smells off or like a wet dog, kind of like that would you'd say, I don't know. Could you check this wine? I think it might be corked.
I think we did that once.
Yeah, there was
You'll
one
know.
of those. Yeah.
And
know.
and
It was-
she tested it and went, you need to check this.
Yes.
And he went, oh,
Oh my
God.
gosh, I'm so sorry. And, he brought,
And it's
like,
not
it
his
over.
fault.
Oh,
It just
no.
Oh, no.
happens sometimes.
No.
It's just a natural thing. So we'll see if it's good.
All right.
It's got a little bit of floral on the nose, but it's light and balanced and just really beautiful.
Oh, that's lovely.
Very clean.
Very
You can see
lovely.
how white it is. in
Yeah,
the
it
glass.
looks very almost velvety.
So then, of course, they're not being rude. They're not going to fill up the person who tasted glass until last, because that's just wine protocol.
That works
So
for me.
go all the way around, and then lastly, fill up her glass.
Right.
Then it's time for a toast.
Perfect.
To celebrating every day.
Yes, cheers. The effervescence way, right?
Effervescence.
Ooh, perfection.
So good.
So I noticed you didn't put it in a wine flute. Is there a reason to serve your
Yeah, and
sparklings in this?
effervescence. Yeah, we don't really love flutes except for a toast or maybe prosecco. It does keep the bubbles going in prosecco, so it's kind of nice for a cute little toast where everybody just gets a little bit. But in really good wines, it's not wide enough to get the aromas from the wine. And these wines, these champagnes and wines always have great aromas, and they will open up in the glass. So I recommend either a tulip or a white wine glass. You don't have to buy anything. If you're registering wedding china, make sure you have a nice, just basic wine glass. It can be used for anything, red, white, if you don't want a bunch of them.
Right.
And champagne's great in that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So, and this is this a
It's
tulip
a rosé.
or a rosé?
We
glass.
we like this.
They're
this
so
is our
pretty.
favorite. They have
very
a
pretty.
specific champagne. This is Riedel. They do make one. It's very similar to this. We just like this particular one a little
I think
bit
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
a
so
beautiful
pretty.
glass.
And
So now, in the champagne, sometimes I've had sparkling and we've got a million bubbles in here. Tell us about what we should look for in my glass. What?
You should just see the tiny little bubbles coming up, like you do. The effervescence. See the little bubbles. The tinier the bubbles, the better.
tinier the better.
So,
Okay.
like some of the cheaper sparkling wines in the USA will be those big bubbles. Sometimes those are pumped in, or not. They're not made naturally.
Yeah.
But the tinier the bubbles, the better it is, and that's pretty much what you're looking for. That and the color. You always look at the color. The aged wines will be darker, more golden. This is probably aged 3 years.
Oh, it's so
So
pretty.
it's pretty, but
very
it's
pretty.
kind of a goldish white.
Yeah.
It's really pretty. Then you give it a few minutes to open up, and you can lightly turn it in your glass or swirl it if you want, not too crazy. And then put your nose in and out. Definitely smell some floral notes on this one.
Oh yeah.
And then you can taste the fruit, a little bit of fruit on it. Taste some pear. It's really nice. But Billy Cartsamon is known for cold filtering their wines, and it keeps it really clean. It gives it this really beautiful, clean taste. It's
Yeah.
not super yeasty, super baroche. Because I know when I first started drinking champagne, someone gave us a bottle of Dom Perignon when my kids were young, and I was like, "Ew, what's the fuss about?" It was super yeasty and heavy, and that's what I was talking about in the beginning. If your palate's not there yet, it's an expensive bottle, but I really didn't like
Appreciate it. Yeah.
because it's just my palate wasn't there yet. I would have much preferred starting with something clean like this, and then slowly working up to that.
This is sort of reminiscent of wines that are aged in stainless steel, as
Yes,
opposed
yes,
to
yes.
the wines that are aged in barrels.
Yeah.
Because this is very.
Yeah.
All you taste is the grapes.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very clean. It's
It
very
is
nice.
really, really beautiful, and it can pretty much go with anything. You could eat it with the caviar here. You could just drink it by itself, with our popcorn that we give you when you sit down, or you can have it with a meal. It's very versatile. So this will be at our midnight toast on our
Oh,
7-course dinner. Meet me in Monte Carlo this year. So we're excited to have this as our midnight toast.
Very
That
fun.
sounds super fun.
Very fun.
And so I know you touched on this one. This is the most
Madame
beautiful
Clicquot.
bottom I haven't seen the packaging like this. I don't think ever. It's so beautiful.
I know, and I don't know if you can reach over and show them how it closes. This is the 2012, the current vintage.
Let's speak it over to you.
Let's see.
I don't trust myself.
It is so pretty. If you want a special gift or bring
How cool
something
is
fun to the
that?
party, look at that.
Isn't that nice?
So this box and the bottle's decorated by Japanese artist Yayoi Kusama. If I pronounce, I don't know Japanese, but that's what
That
I
sounds
guess.
great.
We're
And
there.
she's known for like her circle bubble thing, so it fits perfectly. And look at the bubbles on the label. Oh my god,
So pretty.
I
So
kept one at
cute.
home to put my socks in.
That's adorable.
can't throw it
I also
away.
like the way that
I know.
the box works.
Isn't it
Now,
cool?
do they do one of these every year
No,
or
not
every so
year.
often?
Yeah, just the vintage comes out in a good year every so often. So this 2012 is the one that's currently
So
here now. I just
2012
got
was a
them in.
good year.
Yes.
And how do
Yes.
you know that?
Well, they tell us for one thing, and they tell us about the grapes and if it's a good year. But I've tasted it. It's fantastic. It's on my flight right now. So it's
Right.
we do flights here. Yeah.
But I've been to dinners with people who consider themselves wine aficionados, and they're talking about the year, and I'm like, how do you know?
Well, I mean, some
is there a
people
way to
study
find
it.
out?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
to
you
study
can
it.
study it. It's all there. For me, I don't go that deep into it. I'm more about the hospitality and teaching
Right.
people about bubbles and about sustainable food and what we do here and local grown food, and pairing them with fun little bites and just some brief history of it, just the appreciation of sparkling wine and bubbles, and create fun cocktails from local flavors around here that are seasonal. It's more about the hospitality, and with me, I mean, I love the stories, but I don't dive too deep into it,
Right.
like some people that are really into wine. I did get my level 1 sommelier, and I'm perfectly happy with that. More than anything, just to have it, but I'm more about the stories and tasting and bringing it to people who've never tried it and that kind of thing.
So now, how do you choose? We've
So
been
hard.
into her shop, and there, I
So
don't,
many.
and
It's very hard.
I would think it would be very hard, but it probably you have to taste them all, right?
That's kind of the whole idea for me opening, is that my husband's more of a, either a Manhattan or old-fashioned guy, and he'll take a sip of something. But to be able to try all these fun bottles, I would have to drink it myself if we're out to dinner by ourselves. And, that's usually not something I want to do. So, it's fun to share the bottle with someone. So that's what the idea of the flights came about. So when we opened, we had 7 flights. Right now, since COVID, we pared it down to 4 flights, but it's plenty enough to choose. The first 2 are always a mix of, one is just sparkling wine, to keep the price down so it's affordable for more people. It's 3 glasses built around a theme. Right now, it's traditional flight, so it's sparkling wines made in all the traditional method from around the world. There might be one from Argentina, or I think we have one from England right now.
Cool.
It's the Lalude. No, that's from South Africa right now. The
Okay.
Lalude. And that's called Cap Classique in South Africa. Method Cap Classique is what they call it. But it's super fun because you can do some lower price, middle price, and higher price, and everything by the glass in that flight's available by the glass as well.
So once you've tasted that,
yeah.
if you really
We do
particularly
half
love
glass
something,
flights or full glass flights, and then you can pick another glass of your favorite one. So it's kind of fun. If you like it, pick a bottle for the whole table. A lot of people do that. They'll each get half flights, and then they'll pick their favorite bottle for the next round. So it's really fun. And you can go all the way up. I'll have grower champagnes, which are smaller than the big houses that grow everything on their farm, expressing their terroir, and make everything on their little farm. There's a big, huge following for the grower champagnes. We love them here. And then we have the big houses, and we have some kind of little in-between for the champagne. So the last one's always all champagne and more high-end. And this right now, it's called Take a First Class Flight with Crystal. That's me. So those are some fun things that I'm drinking. It changes name from time to time. And what else? I'm trying to think. Oh, we have a sparkling red flight, which is super
Oh, fun.
cool. A lot of people don't even know about sparkling reds, other than Lambrusco. But yeah, we have the red sparkling wine flight, and that's super popular. We may have it for about another month until we can't get any more, because they do go.
I did have once. It was called Black Bubbles, and it was a red sparkling. It was the first time I've
was
ever
good?
had one. It was so good. I
Yeah.
don't think I can find it anymore.
Like,
I
they're
had
very
it
hard. They sell out very quickly.
years ago when I lived in Los Angeles, and I just remember it was so tasty. Because I've had Lambrusco before, which is good,
Right.
but this was like, it had depth. It was almost like drinking a really good red wine.
It
I was
is.
like, wow, this is so cool.
People are blown away by
Yeah.
the red flight, and people who love red wine are like, well, I was just going to get a glass of red wine, which we do offer still wine by the glass, but let me go for that flight, and they usually love it. They're
Right.
like, I didn't think I liked bubbles,
yeah.
My
You're a
phone.
popular
It's
girl.
okay. You're a popular
That's
lady.
okay.
It's okay.
We're just in the courtyard talking bubbles,
Well,
right?
yeah. Our stream, we've had our dog join us.
Oh.
She was drinking her while we were doing a stream. So yeah, anything goes
Life
with
happens,
us.
y'all.
So you can drink anything, but we were talking before this, and you said some days you're in the mood for something on the lower end. Some days you want something a little more festive. What's your kind of go-to right now?
Well, right now it's holiday season. I kind of am feeling really festive, so I'm kind of loving the champagne. But if I'm like tomorrow, I'll be setting up for New Year's Eve and working, and I'll probably want something a little lighter. I might want a natural wine. We have a Pet Nats. They're petulant natural wines. They're really easy to drink. Some of them taste a little like a kombucha. And some of them are finer and taste almost like champagne. You know, they're just very different, but they're usually light and nothing's added to it. Low sulfites, no added yeast, so you don't get a headache. You can kind of have a glass while you're working and drink it, and still feel okay.
Yeah. I always feel, and I think you've remarked it as well, if I drink too much well, I'm sleepy. Like, and not so much with wine.
Right.
Is that the bubbles? Is that what's in it?
Well, the bubbles
or?
hit your system quicker. The CO2 does. So if you're not used to that and you kind of gulp a couple glasses down, you may feel a little lightheaded. But if you sip it and take your time, you'll be fine. It does hit you quicker than maybe other alcoholic drinks might. But it's not more powerful.
I'm just.
Matter of fact, I do fine with wine.
And maybe it's totally that I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
That might be it. But
Yeah.
boy, a couple of mimosas at
and the
brunch,
mimosas might be the sugar. It's really the
that's
sugar
true.
that gets you.
because it's the orange juice would have
People
a lot of
always
sugar.
come in and they're like, want a mimosa, and I'm go, okay, we do have those. We have fresh juice, but these bubbles are so good. I beg you to taste one sip of even our Prosecco, which I love our Prosecco. It's on the drier side. It's a brother-sister team, Bianca Vigna. And it's so good, I said, I'll bring you the orange juice or the grapefruit juice or cranberry, whatever you want on the side. They generally don't put it in.
Oh.
Right.
Because a lot of times certain places will use that as something they can make money on, or they don't think people, if the bubbles aren't that great, they can add it to it. And it's perfect. There are certain wines that are perfect for that.
Yeah.
But if they're good wines,
Yeah.
taste the wine and the grapes. Like, you don't need to add anything,
Absolutely.
So yeah, maybe it's the sugar.
Yeah.
No, I didn't think about that.
See, I'm just trying to make it healthy.
Drink the bubbles and drink the orange juice.
There's the solution.
That's awesome. So if we have leftover sparkling, which hopefully you're taking it to a party and you're not going to have leftover, is there a special way to store it? Because obviously you want to keep the bubbles.
We rarely have leftovers.
Well, yeah.
we see these things on
No, we do at
on
the restaurant.
line
Of
that
course, we have a professional saver for our high-end bottles. It's called a perlage system. For those people who really are into high-end champagnes, you can get a home one. It uses a canister and some CO2 to fill that space in. We do that on our Salon, on our Grand Dame by the glass, all of those things. But say for this one, the Raventos, we'd probably just put this cap in it. This is a side closure, bubble saver is what we call it. And then it just flips over the top. I can show you on this bottle. This is my preferred one, and I keep one in my suitcase because invariably when you go to the beach or on vacation, you want some bubbles, and then you want to have it, the next night before you go out or something, and it's flat. So I just do this, and I keep it in my suitcase.
Oh, nice.
This one says Effervescence. I think they're like $8 here, but they're super fun. And then you can just put it in your ice, you put it in your refrigerator, and it'll stay sometimes over a week.
Oh, wow.
At my house, if you don't keep reopening it. Every time you reopen it, the bubbles are going to escape, so you'll have less bubbles. So if you're at a party and a bunch of people are drinking, don't cover it every time someone takes a drink. Wait till they're finished, then cover it. Keep it out because the bubbles will stay longer that way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, we've seen online people say, here's what you do with leftover wine. We don't know who those people are.
True, I know.
Although a friend of mine said that, well, if you're single and you don't want to drink an entire bottle of wine at night, you probably will have leftovers.
That's true.
But we try not to have leftovers.
It's really, it's.
But those are great. We have
awesome.
similar ones, and yeah, that's a good way to store them.
They do.
And it's very smart. Keep one in your suitcase.
Yeah, please. I have been on islands where I cannot find one of these. And they're like, what? So now I keep one in the boat and in my suitcase.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I keep a corkscrew in
Me too.
my suitcase too.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't check it.
I know.
Don't check a corkscrew.
No.
It won't work. But sometimes you're in a hotel and they don't have them.
No, I know.
So, and I don't always want screw top one.
Yeah, no.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are happy to talk to you. And if you're in New Orleans, please come to Effervescence, and Crystal will take fabulous care of you. Try one of her great flights.
Yes.
And Happy New Year to
Happy New
come.
Year.
Thank
and
you.
I'm sure you're going to have a wonderful time.
Yeah, we can't wait. Happy New Year to everyone.
Yeah. Happy New Year, y'all.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.